Well, in practical terms, not very much, in the sense that the industry and the operators in Gibraltar have had to operate under the new tax regime in the UK anyway. This was a challenge to that regime that the UK court have referred to the European court, and we will await the judgment. But obviously, it's quite a strong indication that the European court is likely to find against the GBGA's challenge, and find that on two main points that the challenge fails. One being that Gibraltar doesn't have separate member state rights in respect of trade with the UK, and two, even if it did, the opinion suggests that the imposition of a tax which applies to UK and foreign operators wouldn't be a restriction of trade.
Would this be the end of the road for the GBGA, or would you have further recourse?
The opinion only came out yesterday. We need to take stock and decide what to do, but it's likely to be the end of the road, I think, particularly because when we started this process, you know, the situation with Brexit didn't exist, and I think it's fair to say events have overtaken our challenge to some extent. It's also worth saying that, you know, European Court judgments and processes are considered quite political. So the difficulties with the Brexit negotiations that the UK and the European Union are getting into really wasn't very helpful, I suppose, to our challenge.
Well, talking of the Brexit negotiations, the timing of the opinion perhaps not ideal, in that it could have potential wider implications for Gibraltar.
We thought about that actually carefully, although it was a challenge by the GBGA, we worked closely, consulted closely with the Gibraltar government, because we realised that it was sensitive, and they had their own representation in this case. I think the view that we took was that actually, as between Gibraltar and the UK at the moment, the UK already decides how to apply the law in respect of trade between Gibraltar and the UK. And so a judgment which affirmed that Gibraltar didn't have separate European rights in respect of the UK wouldn't really change matters. It might clarify and make certain something which we all believe is the way the UK and Gibraltar operate, but it doesn't change the relationship in our view.
I won't go as far as to say optimistic, but hopeful that the opinion won't be endorsed by the court.
No, I don't think so. I think it's fair to say that, as I said, with the highly sensitive nature of the Brexit discussions going on, it would be surprising if a court wanted to wade into a sensitive area like this, particularly when you have an Advocate General's opinion, which is pretty strong in its position.